returned to the start. It took Rondu more than an hour to walk around the forest, but eventually he returned to the starting point. He lamented, "What the hell is this forest? I've gone around twice, but I'm still back at the starting point." The onset of fever. As Rondu was lamenting, he suddenly felt hot inside his body, the heat increasing more and more. He took off his shirt, sweating profusely. Rondu's body was getting hotter and hotter. His body was tired, and his head hurt like a hammer. He wondered, is this a symptom of fever? It felt similar to a fever, but it wasn't. This was the body's reaction when the cells were exposed to the poisonous substance from the python he had accidentally eaten. Rondu's body became boiling as if it was about to explode. Finally, he passed out in a coma. The coma and transformation. In a coma, Rondu's body showed strange symptoms. His body shook continuously, sometimes hot and then cold. His arms and legs danced wildly and convulsed. Rondu did not understand these manifestations. They came naturally, as if his body was fighting something extremely dangerous. 3 days passed since Rondu fell into a coma. Gradually, he recovered, and the fever subsided. When he opened his eyes, Rondu found himself lying in a vacant lot surrounded by tall old trees. Next to him was the corpse of a giant python with a blood-red color, making even a brave person like Rondu shudder. He moved his limbs and realized he had no problems at all. On the contrary, Rondu felt healthier and more refreshed than before. He didn't understand why this was so. The realization. Looking around the forest, Rondu said to himself, "Now we have to find a way out of here. This is definitely a maze, and its creator must have had an intention." He remembered the words Durika, his mother, had taught him about how to escape a maze. Rondu, who is extremely intelligent, had memorized 2 methods his mother taught him since childhood. Right hand or left hand method. Place your hand on the wall and follow it without ever leaving. This method is guaranteed to find the exit if the maze is simple and the paths are not separated. Remember routes. Mark or record turns to avoid taking past paths, and focus on exploring new paths. Attempting to escape, Rondu closed his eyes and remembered every word his mother taught him. He decided to try the first method. Placing his hand on the wall of leaves, Rondu began to move. After more than half an hour of wandering, he returned to the starting point. Undeterred, Rondu tried the second method. During the move, he marked roads and turns. However, the results remained unchanged. He returned to his original place. It seemed that the person who designed this maze was extremely skilled, causing many to die or become prey for the red python. A glimmer of hope. Rondu sighed, "Am I going to lose my life here?" At that moment, he saw a blue light in the distance, flashing as if it were calling. Rondu decided to follow that light. The light guided him, and finally, Rondu escaped the maze. Filled with joy, he discovered that in front of him was a large temple. Rondu thought to himself, "There are definitely people living here, and I could use help." The temple grounds. With new hope, Rondu entered the temple grounds, filled with appreciation and gratitude for the mysterious light that guided him. The temple was an imposing structure, with intricate carvings and tall pillars that seemed to touch the sky. The air around it was different, almost serene, a stark contrast to the eerie forest. Seeking help. Rondu cautiously approached the entrance of the temple. He was wary but hopeful that he might find someone who could help him. The inside of the temple was dimly lit, with shafts of sunlight piercing through the high windows, casting an ethereal glow on the stone floor. Arrival at the temple. When entering the temple, Rondu discovered a giant monk welcoming him. The monk stood about 4 meters tall, with an appearance that exuded gentleness and wisdom. He was a symbol of ancient human civilization. Rondu's eyes widened in astonishment as he took in the sight of the towering figure. The monk greeted Rondu in his own language, saying, "Welcome to the Temple of the Future. I am an AI monk built in a 3-dimensional space environment." The realization Rondu immediately realized that this monk was not a real person, but a living 3-dimensional image. As a species inheriting the legacy of human civilization, Rondu was no stranger to AI and 3D technology. But he still had to admit that creating such a realistic model was a feat only possible for the advanced humans of the past. The conversation begins. Curiosity piqued, Rondu asked the monk, "Where is this?" The monk replied, This is where all the information about humanity is stored. Science, culture, history, and politics. You can ask any question. Rondu nodded and continued. Why did humans create you? When were you created? The monk replied, humans became extinct in 2085 due to the Zero Doom virus. They created me in the year 2060 on a computer system with a computing performance of 10,000 exaflops per second. The storage capacity of this system is up to 1 billion petabytes. My aim is to preserve human knowledge and impart it to future generations. Learning and understanding, Rondu continued to ask, why do you speak and understand my language? The monk explained, I accessed your computer system and learned your language there. It only took me a few minutes to become fluent in a language. Rondu was extremely impressed with this AI monk's abilities. He asked again, what energy do people use to keep computer systems running for thousands of years? The monk replied, humans have combined 3 different energy sources, such as fusion energy, solar energy, and supercapacitors to maintain the energy source for this system for thousands of years, and possibly for thousands more years. Rondu remained silent for a moment, trying to grasp the full implications of what the monk had said. He then asked, why did they choose you as a symbol of human intelligence? The monk replied, Buddhism is the pinnacle of wisdom from the philosophical perspective of Asia. My inventor was a Buddhist. They chose Buddhism because it was a religion without a god, different from all other religions at that time. Buddhism has reconciled science and religion. That's why they chose a Buddhist monk to symbolize human wisdom. The depth of human knowledge, Rondu was overwhelmed by the depth and breadth of knowledge the AI monk possessed. He decided to delve deeper into the history of humanity, asking, can you tell me more about the Zero Doom virus and how it led to human extinction? The monk's expression remained serene as he recounted the tragic events. The Zero Doom virus was a highly contagious and deadly pathogen that emerged in the early 2025s. It spread rapidly across the globe, overwhelming healthcare systems and causing widespread panic. Despite the best efforts of scientists and medical professionals, a cure or effective treatment could not be found in time. The virus decimated the human population, leading to the eventual collapse of civilizations. The preservation of knowledge. Rondu listened intently, absorbing the gravity of the monk's words. He then asked, how did humanity manage to preserve so much knowledge before their extinction? The monk responded, aware of the potential for catastrophic events, humanity took proactive steps to preserve their knowledge. They created advanced AI systems, like myself, and stored vast amounts of information in secure, durable formats. These systems were designed to withstand the test of time and continue functioning even in the absence of human maintenance. The genesis of Project X. Rondu frowned, his eyes curious when he heard the monk speak. He said, his voice full of emotion, when I got lost in the forest, I met a blood-red python. I had to fight it, but it was unlike any snake I had ever seen. So, what is it? The monk smiled gently, his eyes deep as if he understood everything. It is a genetically modified snake. We captured the most ferocious cobras and implanted the genes of the anaconda, the southern water python, into them. The goal was to create a new, larger, more venomous species. However, we initially failed. By 2070, genetic engineering had become easier, and we successfully created thousands of these genetically modified snakes. Their skin was as bright as fire. These snakes were part of Project X. Rondu was more curious. What is Project X? The monk replied, his voice becoming solemn. Project X includes quantum computing systems, modern infrastructure, advanced robotics, optimized energy systems, and genetically modified organisms like snakes to protect the area from intruders and vandals. In addition, we also have genetically modified monkeys to replace computer components. Hearing the word monkey, Rondu seemed to think of himself. Do these monkeys have anything to do with our species? The monk smiled, but his eyes contained many secrets. This is a complicated problem. We chose the youngest and strongest monkeys to genetically modify with human genes. However, this encountered huge legal barriers. The law prohibits genetic modification between animals and humans for ethical and cultural reasons. The media criticized us harshly, and politicians strongly discouraged it. We had to present to Congress that humanity was at risk of extinction. This was the only chance to preserve knowledge for future generations. After many efforts, we convinced Congress to change the law and allow work to continue. After a year of hard work, we created extremely intelligent monkeys, trained to replace computer parts and maintain computer systems. They were so intelligent that we allowed them to control robots. However, the strange thing is that no genetic mutation has occurred. Monkeys are still monkeys. No new species have been created in thousands of years. While your species has evolved, it is no different from humans. This is perhaps a revelation of nature, which humans cannot control, no matter how advanced science is. Rondu was silent, filled with concern, thinking about the future of his species and the profound secrets the monk had revealed. The origins of genetic modification. The monk's revelation left Rondu in a state of profound contemplation. He pondered over the implications of genetic modification, its origins, and its impact on the world. In the mid-21st century, genetic engineering had advanced exponentially. Scientists around the globe were racing to unlock the mysteries of DNA, driven by the desire to cure diseases, enhance human capabilities, and even stave off extinction. The world had reached a point where genetic modification was not just a possibility, but a necessity for survival. The initial attempts at creating genetically modified organisms were met with mixed results. Early experiments often failed due to the complexity of integrating foreign genes into host organisms. However, with the advent of CRISPR and other gene editing technologies, the process became more precise and controllable. By 2070, genetic engineering had become a routine procedure in many scientific fields. The creation of the blood-red pythons was one such endeavor. Scientists aimed to develop a species that could survive in harsh environments and protect vital areas from intruders. The combination of cobra venom, anaconda strength resulted in a formidable creature. These pythons were designed to be both a deterrent and a tool for preserving ecological balance in areas ravaged by human activity. Project X. An ambitious undertaking. Project X was an ambitious initiative that extended beyond the realm of genetic modification. It encompassed a wide array of technological advancements designed to push humanity into a new era. Quantum computing systems. At the heart of Project X were quantum computing systems. Traditional computers had reached their limits in terms of processing power and speed. Quantum computers, leveraging the principles of quantum mechanics, promised to revolutionize computing by performing complex calculations at unprecedented speeds. These systems could solve problems that were previously deemed unsolvable, from predicting climate patterns to discovering new drugs. Modern Infrastructure. Project X also focused on building modern infrastructure that could support the advanced technologies it aimed to deploy. This included smart cities equipped with sensors and AI to manage resources efficiently, sustainable energy systems to reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and resilient structures designed to withstand natural disasters. Advanced robotics. Robotics played a crucial role in Project X. The integration of AI and robotics allowed for the creation of autonomous machines capable of performing tasks that were dangerous or tedious for humans. From maintaining infrastructure to exploring hostile environments, these robots became essential components of the New World Order. Optimized energy systems. Energy optimization was another critical aspect of Project X. With the planet's resources dwindling, finding sustainable and efficient energy sources became paramount. The project invested heavily in renewable energy technologies such as solar, wind, and fusion power. These systems not only provided clean energy but also ensured energy security in an increasingly unstable world. The ethical dilemma of genetic modification. The monk's mention of genetically modified monkeys raised a significant ethical dilemma. The blending of human and animal genes was a controversial topic that sparked intense debate among scientists, ethicists, and the general public. Legal and ethical barriers. The legal barriers to genetic modification were formidable. Laws around the world prohibited the creation of chimeras, organisms with mixed species DNA, due to ethical and cultural concerns. The fear of playing God, the potential for unforeseen consequences, and the respect for natural boundaries were all arguments against such practices. Media and public outcry. The media played a pivotal role in shaping public opinion. Sensationalist headlines and emotionally charged stories amplified the fears and concerns surrounding genetic modification. Public outcry was swift and fierce, with protests and campaigns demanding strict regulations to prevent the creation of hybrid organisms. Political challenges. Politicians were caught in the crossfire between scientific progress and public sentiment. Many were reluctant to support genetic modification due to the potential backlash from their constituents. However, as the monk mentioned, the looming threat of human extinction forced a re-evaluation of these stances. After intense lobbying and strategic presentations, Congress was convinced to amend the laws, allowing for controlled genetic modification projects. The enigma of the dead forest Rondu stood in the quiet atmosphere of the temple, his eyes full of skepticism and curiosity. "You created the dead forest, right?" he asked the monk in a questioning voice. The monk, with a calm appearance and gentle eyes, replied, "The dead forest is an artificial structure designed by us and built in the year 2075. Rondu did not stop there, continuing to query, "Who creates the blue light?" Still keeping a gentle smile on his lips, the monk explained, "The blue light was created by me to guide you out of the dead forest. Otherwise, it might take you more than 1,000 years to escape." Wrinkles appeared on Rondu's face as he frowned. "Why?" The monk explained, "The dead forest is designed after the Chinese board game Go. Each tree you see is a chess piece and they can move according to the AI's calculations. The total number of valid moves in a game of Go is almost uncountable due to the number of different situations each game can create. No one has ever escaped from the dead forest since its construction." Rondu continued in surprise, "Why did you let me go?" The monk smiled gently. "Because you ate the meat of the blood snake and still lived. This is the last genetically modified snake. The meat of the blood snake is extremely poisonous, no less potent than the venom from its teeth. This is probably nature's intention." Rondu's eyes widened in surprise. "Can you see me in the dark?" The monk replied, "Yes, we placed AI security cameras throughout the forest. The AI automatically analyzed when it was night and when it was day. When night filled the forest, the AI automatically separated the dark patches of the image and added the color, adjusting from dark to bright. I see you as clear as day and all your actions." The monk gently said, "Let me show you around this temple." Rondu followed the monk deep into the temple, each step touching old bricks bearing the mark of time. The revelation of the temple. As they walked through the temple, Rondu felt an eerie sense of history and technology blending seamlessly. The walls, adorned with ancient inscriptions, contrasted starkly with a subtle hum of hidden machinery. The temple was a nexus where the past and future coexisted in a delicate balance. The quantum data center. Behind the temple was a huge data center, which surprised Rondu. Quantum computers were located close together, forming a modern technology network. Robots moved nimbly, monitoring complex systems with minute precision. In that large space, genetically modified monkeys operated computers attentively, ordering robots to perform their tasks. Rondu glanced at these monkeys and thought to himself that they were very similar to him, but also had strange differences, as if they belonged to another world. The monk explained, "This is the nerve center of Project X. The quantum computers here perform calculations that are beyond the capabilities of traditional computers. They manage everything from environmental control in the dead forest to the AI systems that monitor and guide guests like you." Rondu was fascinated. But why use monkeys to operate the systems? The monk's eyes twinkled with a mixture of pride and melancholy. These monkeys have been genetically modified to possess higher intelligence and dexterity. They are an integral part of our ecosystem here. They ensure that the systems run smoothly and can adapt quickly to any anomalies. The Awa Mountains. A little further behind the data center, majestic and serene mountains rose into the sky. The monk pointed towards them and said, "This is the Awa Mountains. The air here is extremely pure. Maybe one day you'll need them." The sight of the mountains brought a sense of calm to Rondu. He could almost feel the purity of the air from where he stood. The monk's words hinted at a deeper connection between the temple and the natural world beyond, a balance that was crucial to the survival of the project. After taking a tour, it was time for Rondu to say goodbye to the monk and return home. He said, "I have to go back. I have been missing for more than 3 days. My mother must be extremely worried." The monk saw Rondu out of the temple, a gentle smile on his lips. "When you encounter something difficult, come back here. I have opened a path for you to pass through the dead forest." As soon as he finished speaking, the monk disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Rondu walked to the forest and noticed that the trees seemed to be moving, opening a clear path before him. Rondu kept following that path, filled with hope and faith. Finally, he escaped safely from the dead forest, feeling the warm light and freedom of the outside world.